One night in December, a crowd of close to 1,000 farmers, business people, housewives and retirees converged on the Camden Civic Centre on the southwestern outskirts of Sydney.
We're the residents of Camden. I think we deserve to hear what's being said.
It was packed to overflowing and there was no turning them away.
Still bullshit, okay?
In you go.
We
You
don't
can
mind
go
standing.
The issue that prompted the huge turnout was a planning application for a new school, catering for 1,200 students. Not just any school, but a school for Muslims. And these residents weren't having a bar of it.
Council's gutless. They don't want us all involved. That's what it's about.
Sure, we are racist if you call it racist, not accepting a community that also happens to they've got terrorists amongst them, okay? We can't say they haven't. They have. If we let them in here, they want to be here because they can go and hide in all their country little farmhouses.
Between 3 and 4, you won't be able to move in the streets of Camden for all the traffic it's going to cause. That's my objection to it. It's a quiet place, it's a quiet community.
Legitimate concerns over traffic and planning issues were drowned out by voices like these.
Filthy grubs. Dirty, filthy grubs.
They don't want you here. Fuck off, bogs.
Hey,
go back to your own country, Mohammed.
We pay our tax, mate, and we don't
Since September 11, the Bali bombings and the war on terror, views like this have become commonplace.
Better ways. Get rid of them. We don't want them.
We need more petitions over here.
40% of Australian Muslims were born here. But the message from this crowd is that being Australian doesn't include being Muslim.
No one wants them here. They're all filthy grubs. They can all fuck off.
You're born in Australia? Yeah. Raised in Australia? Yeah. Ever been to Lebanon? No. Never. So even though you've never been to Lebanon, even though you've never seen Lebanon, you're still being called Lebanese and you're born, raised in Australia. That's sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
These schoolboys are all Australian born, but when they refer to Aussies, they don't mean themselves.
You know, Anglos, blue eyes, blonde hair. You know, and we're seen as, you know, wogs, if you like.
It's like you're from a different country. Yeah. Like, you don't feel that you belong here. They don't make you feel that you belong here.
There's mounting evidence that many young Muslims feel like foreigners in their own country, and some of their leaders are beginning to ring warning bells.
You're going to have a community that's so disattached from the wider community, a community that does not have a sense of belonging whatsoever. You're going to see a generation of young people who have so much hatred and so much anger and so much frustration within them. And when that happens, you are basically in dangerous grounds.
Australian Muslims recently celebrated the festival of Eid al-Adha, the most important day on the Islamic calendar. Mosques around the country overflowed into the streets as hundreds of thousands gathered to pray. But some believe there's precious little to celebrate about being a Muslim in Australia today. They report a deepening sense of alienation, especially among the young.
So they feel lost?
They feel lost, yeah.
And why is that?
They don't feel like, you know, if the Australian people are saying to them, well, go back to your own country, and they don't have another country because they're born here, where are they supposed to go?
Eason Webby's congregation meets every Friday in a rented hall at Sydney's Chester Hill. It's organised by the Islamic Dawah Council of Australia, a community group that aims to keep young Muslims off the streets and out of trouble.
My dear brothers in Islam, today's khutbah is going to be about akhlaq. And akhlaq means character and manners. The Prophet ﷺ said the only reason he has been sent was to perfect good character. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts
The communal prayer gives them a sense of belonging they often don't feel. Because while for most Australians the so-called war on terror is largely political rhetoric, for Australian Muslims it's personal.
It seems like every time something happens overseas, whether it's an attack or a bombing, we still get blamed for it. We have to all defend it, miles and miles away. What are Muslims in Australia got to do with foreign policy overseas?
The situation's like it's us and them now. It's like when the American government was saying, so either you're with us or against us. There are people that were against the war, and people that are against the war, they'll think, well, then you're one of them. It's like people don't like war or whatever. It's like, well, then you follow the terrorists.
Yeah.
These first-generation Australians whose parents fled civil wars in Lebanon and Palestine endure daily hostility and abuse.
Like every time you go somewhere, you think people are looking at you, or you think someone's going to spit in your food for making food for you at the shop, or just things like that.
Do you get called names?
Badly.
Like what?
Effing terrorist. Effing Arab. Go back to your country. You ugly fat shit and you forward freak. Like, I don't want to continue because it'll just heartbreak me more.
And go back to your own country.
Go back to your own country. You don't belong here.
What's your country?
Look, I was born in Australia, of course. Oh well.
Being of Middle Eastern appearance means they're also frequently targeted by the police and security services.
Stop you if you're walking or get pulled over, They just harass you, they just waste your time for no reason. They don't even give you a fine, nothing, just like it's fun to them or whatever,
And what do they say when they're doing that?
Oh, you got any bombs in the cars, just stuff like that,
And I've had a personal experience with ASIO, where I read an article in an Islamic newspaper or magazine, nothing to do with terrorism or, just about the media and Islam, and I got a knock on my door by ASIO, asking me why I read that letter or the article in the newspaper. Now, it's going a bit too far, I think. I have every right to write in an Islamic newspaper, and I got questioned by ASIO for a couple of hours about why I read that. I don't see why the Muslim community should ever help ASIO. I don't blame them for not helping ASIO. Because they're not really with us, they're against us, so why should we help them?
The group runs a drop-in centre in its cramped office space nearby. They recently applied to the local council for a permit for a youth centre, but got knocked back, leaving these boys with nowhere else to go.
So these young people who feel lost, what's going to happen to them if that feeling can't be counteracted?
Well, they're going to have more issues naturally, and they're going to have more problems, and our community is going to have more problems. So that means the between us and you could say the other community, because that's how they've sort of placed us and them. There's going to be a greater barrier until we can work out things. So you're going to maybe have more crime because they feel lost. They don't know where to turn. Maybe more killings. Maybe God knows.
Okay. Good morning, all. I'd like to welcome you all to the Global Terrorism Research Centre at Monash.
The Global Terrorism Research Centre at Monash University recently completed a 3-year study in conjunction with the Victoria Police. It found that Australia's current approach to terrorism may be exacerbating the danger rather than reducing it.